Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be very different than usual, but you're going to be very familiar with this video, I assume, because it's all over YouTube right now. But it's me reacting to your guys' assumptions about me. So how this works is on Instagram, on your stories, you post a question box and tell people to write in their assumptions about you. So I have gotten all of those assumptions, and I literally laughed at some of them because they're so funny. And I have them saved in my phone. And I'm going to go through your guys' assumptions, and we'll talk about them, if they're like true or false or whatever. So that's kind of all the intro I have to this video. It's a very clever video idea, but it does open yourself up to criticism and mean thoughts and stuff like that. So beware if you do this. You might not like what people have to say about you, but it's all in good fun. So the first assumption about me is that you assume that I am one of those people who's always on time or early and never late. And this has been true most of my life. I am literally always on time. The only thing that I can think of that's not on time that I've done is since we've had the twins, I've been a few minutes behind when we go to like their appointments or they come with us somewhere. I'm generally running about 5 to 10 minutes behind schedule. So even that, it's not crazy, but typically my whole life I have usually been on time. The next assumption about me, they said you can be very controlling. I'm sorry. So no, I can be. This probably is more of a question for like my husband, but most people would see it as being controlling. I just see it as I like to have things a certain way, a certain order. So maybe at times I could be, but I never mean to do it in a way that's so mean and like it's my way or the highway type thing. But it probably comes off that way, especially if you don't know me. So I would say that one is pretty much true. So don't be sorry because you were right. The next assumption about me is that I wear the pants in my family. I like to think that I do. So I'm not going to say this is necessarily true or false. I think that my husband and I equally wear the pants, just depending on what's going on. I think with like our daughter, Aniston, I am more of the pants wearer, but as far as like our household goes, I would say that he wears the pants just because he is like the head of the household, like he is the man of the family. So I'm going to say it's kind of split in the middle, that I do in some things, but I don't in others. So that's so funny. The next assumption about me is that I was a straight A student in high school, and that is very, very incorrect. So that one is false. The next assumption about me is that it says you're very conservative because you're from Alabama, and I'm not really super conservative. Again, this kind of goes, it's kind of true and false. I'm conservative with some things, but not in others, and I think that most people, when they think of like the deep south, like Alabama, they think of conservatives like the Bible Belt that strictly, you know, have horrible views towards things like same-sex marriage, and I'm honestly not that way. I definitely am more open-minded, I think, than the typical like deep south person. So I would say I'm not as conservative as most people there, but I am conservative in some other ways. The next assumption is that I was popular in high school. I honestly don't know. You'd have to ask someone that I went to high school with. I mean, I had like my same group of friends, but I wasn't really picking on who I was friends with and who I would talk to. And I came from a small town, so everyone kind of just knows everyone. So I feel like everyone's popular because the school is just so small. So there's two assumptions that are looks slash makeup related. And the first one is that I care a lot about my appearance, and the second one says you feel like you need makeup to look pretty. So here's the deal with the makeup situation. There was more about makeup too on here, but here's the deal about look and appearance. I do my makeup for myself. My husband actually isn't a big fan of makeup at all, especially when I wear like a heavier face of makeup if like we're going out for the night or something. I just love it because I love doing it. To me, the process of makeup is really fun. I love watching tutorials on YouTube. To me, it's just like a creative, like, art outlet, and it just gives me something to do to make myself feel like I look more put together. And I feel like if I am put together, I just have a little bit more self-confidence whenever I'm going out into public. So looks are important to me, but not because I feel like I have to look perfect everywhere that I go. Because I will go to Target looking busted, you guys. I will go with like not even an ounce of an eyebrow pencil on. But I just do makeup for me. So while I do care about looks and appearance, to me it's not because I feel like everyone has to look perfect. To me, it's because when I feel like I look presentable, I just feel a little bit better. And if I'm at home and I am in a messy bun all day and I haven't showered or anything, I'm most likely not going to get as much done than if I were to actually get up and like do my hair in a little bit of makeup. I just feel like it changes my whole outlook on the day. And I'm sure that some of you guys can relate to that, especially if you're ones like moms that stay at home. Back when I stayed at home for a short while, I just felt better, and I know that I was more productive when I actually had my hair and makeup done. The next assumption is that I'm a bit of a goody-good and a do-gooder, and I am now. I wasn't always that way. I definitely had my wild streak for a few years after high school, and, you know, didn't make the best of decisions, but I think everyone kind of goes through that. They have that phase of life that they are just kind of out there learning, making mistakes. So I definitely don't regret anything whenever I wasn't being like a do-gooder, but I'm definitely, I would say that's true as of right now. There's two that are living situation related. The first says you want to move down south, back home, and the second one says that you don't like Iowa and wish that you were still in Alabama. I definitely don't think I would live in Iowa if it wasn't for my husband. It definitely wouldn't be like my first or second or third or 40th choice. I just am used to living in the South because I grew up there. I'm used to the warm weather year round. I'm just used to that way of life and kind of that culture, if you will, because the culture in the South is just different than the Midwest. It's different from the West Coast. And if you've lived in different places, you'll understand what I mean by that. So I would love to move back down south, and not necessarily Alabama, maybe more like Tennessee, but I don't foresee that ever happening because my husband, you know, he has a lot here. He has his military unit here. He has a lot of farmland even more north of here. His daughter's here. So definitely we're not going to be leaving here, and if we were, it wouldn't be anytime soon, unfortunately. The next assumption is that I am always super clean and organized. And that is absolutely not true. You guys should see my car sometimes. I think that YouTube has helped me become a better, more organized person. But if you guys will have if you've ever seen my car in real life, you know that I'm definitely not organized all the time. Because while my house is most of the time clean and tidy, with the exception of kid things, my car is just one of those things that I've never really put a lot of effort in keeping clean. So no, I regretfully say that I am not always super clean and organized. The next person asked, or not asked, assumed, it says, I assume you're starting to get a little overwhelmed with 2 babies and a little girl to entertain. And actually, I haven't been really overwhelmed yet because my husband's been home almost all of my maternity leave with the exception of like a day or two. And my parents were here, so I'm not really super overwhelmed. I think that I won't actually get overwhelmed until I'm going a long period without, you know, any adults here with me. And it's going to be a while because my husband is home most of the day, at least during the day. So right now I'm not going to like jinx myself, but it's not really as hard as I thought it was going to be to have twins. So when I start getting overwhelmed, I will let you guys know, because I'm sure that maybe when we hit like a 4-month sleep regression or something, I will kind of start feeling overwhelmed. But right now, fingers crossed, it's been going so well. There were a few things that were financial related, and I kind of like cringe at answering these, but I know that most people probably wouldn't answer them. So I'm just going to answer it because I don't have anything to really hide. So hopefully I don't regret that. But I'll just give one example. I assume that you guys have a lot of money because you have a nice house and you could afford IVF up front. So I will go as far to say that my husband and I are financially very stable. We both have really, really good jobs. My husband has a few different jobs and he has his farm. And I obviously am a full-time working mom because I really just enjoy what I do. And I honestly can say that I really love to work. We're definitely not wealthy by any means. We do have a nice house. And I love our house, and we plan on getting a nicer house in the next 2.5 years. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. We could afford IVF up front, and, you know, just having great jobs and having my husband's farmland, it just made it very possible for us to do that. And I don't take it for granted. I feel extremely lucky that we were able to, because now I have 2 beautiful babies that I get to look at, and I definitely just don't want anyone to think that I take any of that for granted, because I don't. And I do my best to give back when I can. I know that some of you guys have approached me with your, you know, GoFundMes and your fundraising for your IVF, and typically I've bought t-shirts from you guys. I do things that I try to help other people as much as I possibly can. And yeah, so that's pretty much the extent that I'm going to go into like our finances, because my husband would probably like die if he knew that I was even talking about it. But yeah, I just want to be as transparent as possible, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get in the last few, so this isn't a very long video. The next one is that I get ready in the morning to only impress myself, and that is true. I just feel better about myself. Like I said, it makes me feel like I'm more productive. And then the last one that I'm going to bring up is, it says you are, in high school you had more friends that were guys versus females in high school. Yeah, that is true. I've always had more guy friends, and I don't know why. I mean, as an adult now I have a lot more girlfriends, but I've just naturally just been kind of like one of the guys growing up. And I think it's because in my neighborhood growing up, we had a lot of guys in the neighborhood, and we're still friends to this day. And even after I was living in Florida, after I turned 18, a lot of my friends were guys, because that was just typically, if I had a boyfriend, he'd have all these guy friends, and then we'd all be friends. So it just kind of has naturally always happened that way. But honestly, it doesn't matter as long as you're happy with who you're hanging out with. I don't think it matters the gender of your friends. But yeah, so these were all very great assumptions. A lot of you guys were right on the money when you assumed things, which was awesome. And I will be happy to say that no one said anything that was like negative or scary mean. So thank you for that. That was very nice of all of you. So that's going to be all for this video. This was actually quite fun, just to kind of like do something different. So I'm curious to know what video ideas you guys have for me. I have a list of about 8 that I am planning on filming in between the baby's naps. So if you have any video requests, please let me know down below. And if you are new, welcome to my channel, and I hope you subscribe. And that's going to be all for this video. So I will see you guys next time. Bye!